India and China are holding high-level military talks today, trying to resolve the standoff. Meanwhile, Army Chief General M.M. Naravane also discussed the security situation with top army commanders in the national capital today. Sources say that the Chinese have admitted to losing a commanding level officer in the June 15th clash. This came up during the high-level military talks that were being held in Ladakh today. In fact, there are also reports that now the Indian Army has been given a complete free hand to deal with the situation as they deem appropriate. Srinjoy Chaudhary, Times Network's National Affairs Editor, joins us for more on this. Srinjoy, just give us a brief overview of what came up during the discussion at the Army Chief was holding a meeting today, of course, with the secure Army commanders. What came up in that meeting, and also the status of the talks and the key takeaways that were held in Ladakh between Indian and Chinese military level officials?
Well, first of all, the talks are still going on. And it's been going on for about 8 hours. The talk started at 11:30, and what we heard, there were 3 or 4 major issues there. One, of course, these were coming from the Indian side, that there be no violence, particularly like the one on the 15-16 night. Second, there would be cases of disengagement in the areas where the troops were close to each other. And thirdly, there should be a thinning out. Now, as you know, in the rear areas, the Chinese have about 10,000 troops, plus tanks, plus guns, plus armored personnel carriers, plus lots of other hardware. So these were the 3 issues. And on a more tactical thing, things like no night patrols. And if you are having patrols, they should be smaller in size and so on. Now, naturally, everything comes up when a corps commander is speaking with his equivalent. Issues do come up, not just Galwan, but also Pangong, which has not been spoken of too much as yet. So all these issues are being discussed. The problem is that you are speaking in English, and that's being translated into Mandarin, and then someone else is speaking in Mandarin, and that is translated into English. So this process takes a lot more time than a normal meeting. Also, if there are more than one officials on the Chinese side, for instance, you have a military commander and then you have a political person also. So there is a discussion sometimes between them. That too takes time. So we will have to see what happens. As far as Delhi is concerned, yes, the Army Chief, General Naravane, did hold a meeting. This was the Commanders' Conference. So his army commanders, wherever, north, south, southwest, east, all these commanders were here, RTRAC, for discussions. Naturally, you would imagine that the issue of Ladakh would have come up.
Srinjoy, thanks so much for that. We'll keep coming back to you when that meeting ends in Ladakh between the top military level commanders between India and China there. Srinjoy, thanks so much though for bringing us all those details. Now, staying with Ladakh, Times Network's Vivek Narayan sends us a special report from the Leh Valley, which has seen continued activity. In fact, Indian Air Force choppers and fighter planes continue to do the rounds in the skies of Leh. Have a look at the special report.
Right behind me is a Leh Valley, and through the day, I mean in morning, even now you can see planes taking off, helicopters going around any moment. This all through the day, especially early, the first half of the day, you can see that happening all through the day. See that one, that's a Indian aircraft, Indian Air Force helicopter there flying over. Now, most of these maneuvers are essentially to ensure that the force is fighting fit. And remember, all that exercise that we see here is not exactly defensive. The fighter planes which take off are in offensive positions as well. They do what is known as area dominance exercise. They make sure that the enemy is aware of what we are doing, and it is seen also. Remember, this fight is fought not only at the physical and front. It's also a psy-op, and it's also a psychological war that the two sides are fighting.